What are you spending time on that someone else could do faster, better, or cheaper than you? I wrote back, stop acting like a... I am terrible at customer service. Here are 3 questions that you need to answer. My name is Mike Vidan. I've been in the home service industry for over 20 years, and I am going to tell you about the superpower that nobody ever talks about: being brutally honest about your weaknesses. And I mean brutally honest, painfully honest, the kind of honest that makes you look at yourself in the mirror and go, I should not be doing this. So, everybody is going to tell you to believe in yourself and that you can accomplish anything with enough hard work. Well, I'm going to go ahead and say that that is a big, colossal no. And if you fall for that lie, it can hurt your business, and it can hurt your business more than you can ever imagine. And I'm going to tell you how an email that I sent to a customer that kind of went viral, but not in a good way, had a negative impact on my business. So yeah, we are going to talk about that. And my issue was, it wasn't about believing that I could do everything. It was admitting that I absolutely suck at some of the things. Let's start with the lie they try to sell you, and I fell for it hard myself. The entrepreneur story you hear everywhere, right? It's always the same. The successful person works 80 hours a week, teaches themselves everything, does it all themselves, pulls themselves up by their bootstraps, grinds through, never quits. And look, there is some truth in there. You do have to work hard. You do have to push through difficult times. But somewhere in there, we started confusing working on your business with doing everything in your business. And those are not the same thing. When I bought my pressure washing business 20 years ago, I thought being a real entrepreneur meant figuring everything out on my own, doing it all by myself, right? Sales, I'll do it. Operations, I got it. Marketing, I'll handle it. Customer service, yeah, I'll do that too. Scheduling, bookkeeping, equipment maintenance, website, I'll do all of it. And here's the thing. I actually could do most of those things. Like, I could do them technically. I could do them. But that doesn't mean that I should have been doing them. Because here's what nobody tells you. Just because you can learn something doesn't mean that it's a good use of your time. Just because you can handle something doesn't mean you're the right person to handle it. I was spending 60 hours a week in that business and not really making a ton of money. And I kept thinking to myself, I just need to work harder. I need to push harder. I just need to get better at these things that I'm struggling with. But that is absolutely 100% not what I needed. What I needed was to get real about what I was actually good at and what I wasn't good at. So finally, I started helping myself by figuring out my strengths and my weaknesses. And I'll be honest, like, I'm good at some things, right? I'm good at systems. I'm good at training, at selling, managing people, at understanding what customers need and then how to relay that to them to get them to buy. I'm not good at bookkeeping, at day-to-day scheduling minutia, at certain types of administrative work. It bores me. I don't want to do it. So I started building systems and putting processes in place to minimize the things that I wasn't good at or I just didn't like doing. And here is where it gets pretty interesting. Now, the systems that I built, they weren't great. I mean, they worked, but they were duct taped together, subscriptions, software packages, and none of them really talked to each other. I had one tool for scheduling, I had another for invoicing, another one for, customer management, another for sending out estimates and invoices. I was spending half of my time moving data between all these different systems. It wasn't efficient and it just wasn't that great, but it did work. And I'd sit there thinking to myself, there has to be a better way. And that is when it hit me. This was another weakness, not just my weakness, but this was a weakness for the entire home service, field service, the trades industry. We didn't have software that was built by contractors for contractors. Everything out there was either built by tech people from overseas who'd never run a service business, or it was so complicated that you probably needed like a computer science degree to figure all of it out and use it. And that's not what we need. And that's when Justin Rogers and myself, we kind of talked and we understood that we were having the same problems in our own businesses, the same duct tape software mess, same frustrations, same feeling that we were working around our tools instead of being helped by them. And that was not a good feeling. But it was that identification of an issue and understanding it was a weakness. And that's when we decided to build something to fix that problem. And that's when we started QuoteIQ. But starting QuoteIQ brought a whole new set of weaknesses to the surface. And the next story is the embarrassing one, but it's an important one. And that's why I'm willing to share it. When we first launched, we were bootstrapped, zero outside funding, right? Which meant we were doing absolutely everything ourselves. And one of the things that I took on was customer support. Now on paper, this made sense, right? I knew the product. I knew it inside and out. I understood contractors because I was a contractor. I could help people solve problems. It seemed just like the logical solution. But here's what I didn't really account for when I assigned myself that position. I've got a really short fuse, and I get defensive when I feel like I'm being attacked. And in customer support, that's literally dealing with people who are frustrated, who are upset, who sometimes come at you in an aggressive way because something's not working to their liking and it's costing them time and money, right? And when we launched, QuoteIQ was new. It had some bugs, it had some issues, and just like any new software that you try, it's going to have, those little issues. So one day I get this email from a customer and he's going off. I mean, just absolutely laying into me. He had a 14-day free trial. He did not cancel his 14-day free trial, and he was charged for that free trial. And I have access to the activity logs. I see the IP address. I see that he did not cancel. This isn't a QuoteIQ thing. This is an app store. This is Apple. The same thing for every app ever that anybody's ever downloaded with a free trial on the App Store. But instead of saying to me, hey man, I forgot to cancel, he starts calling us scammers, saying we're ripping people off, saying the product is garbage, just really nasty stuff that was a little bit offensive, telling me that he was going to leave a bunch of negative reviews, blast us on social media, all because he forgot to cancel his trial and he was charged $19.99. And I snapped, okay? I wrote back, stop acting like a cunt and cancel your subscription and we'll issue a refund. And I pushed send. Now, in my head, I was just being direct. I was being honest. The guy was acting exactly like what I called him. And it was true. So logically, I was right. But here's the problem. I wasn't having a drink with a buddy. I wasn't hanging out with a friend. I was representing a company, our company, the company that Justin and I were just getting off the ground. We were building, right? And the email, of course, it got screenshotted and it got shared in Facebook groups. It got shared on Reddit and it made the rounds. And for a couple days, I was that guy, the CRM founder who lost his mind on a customer and called him a cunt. And then Justin calls me and he's like, Mike, what did you do? And I'm like, did you see the email that he sent to us? And he's like, dude, you responded to a paying customer like that in writing from the company email. And he was right. Should I have said it? Absolutely not. Was the guy being difficult? Yeah. If the shoe fits, I typically say you wear it, but that's not the point here. That's when it hit me. I am terrible, probably the worst at customer service. Not because I don't know the product, not because I don't want to help people, not because I don't want them to get the most out of whatever product it is that we're offering, but because my personality is completely wrong for it. I don't have the patience. I don't have the temperament. I take things personally when I shouldn't. After all, this is my baby, and this just wasn't a skill that I needed to develop at this time of my life, right? You can't teach an old dog new tricks, right? This was a weakness, and I needed to remove myself from it entirely. So we went from me answering calls and emails and getting defensive when customers had issues to building one of the best support systems in the CRM space, hands down. We implemented chatbots. We've got 24/7 live phone support, video call support. We've hired people who are great at customer service and love helping people solve problems. We didn't try to fix my weakness. We built a system that made my weakness irrelevant. And once I saw it with customer service, I started seeing the pattern other places. Justin and I were both creative thinkers, right? We love sales. We love marketing. We love building systems. We love the workflows. We love automation. We can sit for hours talking about how to make a process better, how to position something in the market, how to tell the story and make people understand why it's a benefit to them, right? You know what we don't love? We don't love coding. We don't know coding. Could we learn it? Sure. There are courses, there's boot camps, YouTube videos. We could go to school. We could absolutely teach ourselves how to code. But here's the math. It would take us months to get decent at it. Decent at best, maybe years to actually get good at it. And the whole time we're learning to code, we're not doing the things that we're actually great at: the strategy, the systems, the marketing, the vision, right? So we hire people that are good at those things. We hired one of the best developers that was available, someone who thinks in code, right? Someone who can take our ideas, as crazy as they are sometimes, and turn them into reality in a fraction of the time that it would take us. And that's how two guys who don't code built a CRM platform that's competing against Service Titan, a company that's raised $183 million, Jobber, who's raised $125 million, against House Call Pro, over $100 million, right? These are giant companies with huge budgets, and we're competing with them every single day. And we didn't do it by learning everything. We did it by knowing exactly what we're good at, knowing exactly what we're not good at, and building around our gaps. Now, here's where it gets really interesting, because Justin, he also has a weakness, and recognizing it and building systems around it is one of the smartest things that we've done. Justin's weakness, he wants to do everything at once. He gets excited about ideas and wants to jump on them immediately. We'll get user feedback or see something another platform is doing, and he's ready to build it right now, right? Multiple directions, all at the exact same time. And honestly, that creative energy is part of what makes him great. It's what makes us lethal, right? We don't have to wait for other people. We're not beholden to boards. But when you're a bootstrap company, when you don't have hundreds of millions of dollars in venture capital, you can't chase every single idea, at least not all at the same time. You have to prioritize ruthlessly. We don't have the resources to do everything we want to all at the same time. So what do? We don't try to change Justin's personality. We didn't send him to focus training or whatever. We built a system to compensate for that weakness. We implemented a suggestion feature right inside QuoteIQ. Our users can tell us exactly what it is that they want, what they need, what would improve the app, and then other users can upvote or downvote those ideas. Every single day at our end of the day call with the team, we look at every single one of these suggestions. We evaluate them based on one question: what is going to have the greatest impact on the greatest number of users? And that's it. That's how we decide what to build next. Not based on what Justin and I think is cool, not based on what's trending in the industry, right? Based on what our actual users are telling us that they need, validated by other users voting on it. And some of our best features have come from that suggestion feature. Features that we never would have thought of, but that contractors are using every single day to run their businesses better. We also run polls in our Facebook users group. If you're not in there yet, just search QuoteIQ users group on Facebook, ask to join, and that way you're going to be able to give us direct input to the things that you need, the things that you want, and we listen to all of that. We take that input, we look at the feedback, and we do everything we can to make the product even better every single day. And it's the systems that we've implemented that have allowed us to do this, that have allowed us to grow as quickly as we have. And this is what I mean by building systems around your weaknesses. Justin's tendency to go in multiple directions all at once, that could have destroyed us. Instead, we channeled it through a system that turns it into a competitive advantage for us. And this is why we can compete against companies with 100x our funding. All of our competitors, I've already named them. You know what happens when you have that much investor money? You have board meetings, you have strategic plans, you have roadmaps decided by, in a lot of times, scenarios where these are people that have never run a pressure washing business, an HVAC company, a plumbing business, right? They have no clue what it actually takes. We have a suggestion feature and a Facebook users group where we run polls asking our users what they actually want. We don't go sit in board meetings. We're not beholden to anybody telling us what we have to do. They have committees. They've got consultants deciding what to build. We have contractors that vote on it. That's the difference. And it's only possible because we acknowledge that our weakness is wanting to do too many things at once. And we have built a system to force us to prioritize based on real user impact. And that is all about implementation, which is another thing that we're really good at. And I'm going to make an entire video on implementation and how it impacts your business, because I genuinely believe that implementation is probably one of the most important things in any business, regardless of what you do. So the key here is we implemented systems to compensate for our weaknesses in prioritization, right? You see how it works. We don't fix the weakness we build around it. And that's why businesses like ours, and hopefully yours, are going to be able to grow, not by being good at everything, by being ruthlessly honest about what we're not good at and systematically eliminating those things from our plate. So now let's talk about how to make this practical for you. I want you to actually do this, not just think about it, not just watch this and not implement. Here are 3 questions that you need to answer. So question number 1 is, what am I actually world class at? Not just good at, not just decent at. What do you do better than 95% of your competition? What's the thing where people say, you need to talk to Mike, John, Joe. They are the best about it. For me, it's systems, it's marketing, and it's training. It's seeing how a process should work and, being able to communicate that clearly. That's why we've got over 15,000 people that have taken our training courses. How to wash 2, how to stripe, how to seal coat, local domination 2. We've got 2 million subscribers across all of our social media platforms. And that's what we're really good at. Justin, he's got a creative mind and he loves seeing these possibilities that are out there. And it's understanding how to turn complex workflows into simple processes. That's what he's really good at. So what are you really good at? Write it down. Question 2 is, what am I decent at, but someone else could do better? Now that's the important one, but this is a dangerous zone as well, because you can do all these things, right? So you can keep doing them, but every hour you spend here is an hour you're not spending on question number 1, which is what you're really freaking good at. So be honest. What are you spending time on that someone else could do faster, better, or cheaper than you? Great questions, right? Then question number 3 is, what am I terrible at that's eating away at my time and causing problems in my business? This is the danger zone. The stuff that you're not just bad at, but that actually causes problems when you try to do it yourself. The stuff that frustrates you, drains your energy, and produces bad results. For me, obviously, it's customer service. When I'm frustrated, it's not a good scenario. It's bookkeeping. It's day-to-day scheduling management. Those are things that I need to outsource. For Justin, it's not being able to prioritize when there are too many exciting possibilities out there on the table, and it's, you just want to do them all. So what is yours? What's your weakness? What's the thing you're terrible at? Now, here's the critical part. Once you're able to identify the weaknesses, you don't try to fix them through willpower or just self-improvement, right? You build systems to compensate for them. Me being bad at customer service, well, we built award-winning customer support with chatbots, 24/7 live support, video call support. I'm not in the support queue anymore answering problems and talking to people. That problem was easily solved. I removed myself, we built systems. Justin, wanting to build everything at once, we built the suggestion feature with user voting and a daily review process to hold us accountable. That way we can validate the things that are important and move forward. Now the system tells us what we need to do. Problem solved. Us not being coders, well, we hired a phenomenal team of developers who they understand code, they think in code, they're up to speed, they can create fast. Problem solved. Maybe for you, it's just not being good with customer follow-up. Another really important thing, implement something like QuoteIQ that automatically does it for you. Build a checklist system. Hire a VA who loves details. Don't try to become a detailed person if you're not. Build a system that makes your weakness irrelevant. So I want you to look at your calendar from last week. I want you to be honest, and I want you to tell me, how many hours did you spend on question number 3? How many hours on question number 2? How many hours on question number 1? Now, most people that have that entrepreneurial spirit, they own their own business, they spend 10 hours on question 3, 20 hours on question 2, and 10 hours on question 1. That's why they're stuck. And what they need to do is they need to flip it, right? Get question 3 off your plate entirely. Hire somebody, use a tool, automate it, whatever it takes, get it gone. Then minimize question 2. Delegate what you're able to. Systemize the rest. And then spend the majority of your time on question number 1. The thing that you are actually world class at. The one that is going to make your business explode. The one that is going to have the most impact on the growth and success for your business. Look, being a realist about your talents isn't giving up. It's not limiting yourself. It's actually the only way to really win big, because while everyone else is trying to be mediocre at everything, you're going to be excellent at the things that actually move the needle in your business. And you're going to build systems that make your weakness irrelevant. And that is a superpower that nobody's talking about. Knowing what you suck at and getting it off your plate. I had an email incident that went viral. That was my wake-up call about my position in customer service. Justin wanted to build everything and we were spreading ourselves too thin. That was our wake-up call about prioritization. I was duct taping together software in my pressure washing business. That was our wake-up call that led to QuoteIQ. So what is your wake-up call going to be? Don't wait for a disaster to be the moment where you realize what that is, right? Get real about your weaknesses today and start building systems to compensate for them. Answer those 3 questions, look at your calendar, and then make one change this week that gets your biggest weakness off your plate.